our theme is on waste management and sanitation. The recent downpour brought to the fore the poor sanitation and waste management in the country. We saw flooding, we saw lots of gutters choked, and so we will bring you up to speed with some figures that are making the headlines. Yeah, so this is it, and we got these figures from the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, and it says more than 20,000 households rely on right, so it says more than 20,000 households rely on banned latrine pans. The latrine pans have been banned, but they still rely on, and it says close to 5.2 million people will have to be provided with improved household facilities from 2010 till 2015. So they're using banned pan latrines, and they have to be provided with the facility. It also says that in Ghana, there is heavy reliance on open drains and for water conveyance, and this is how waste is being managed in the country. Banned pan latrines in this 20th century is still being used. People don't have better toilet facilities, and so what happens is people dispose of waste indiscriminately, and then when there are floods, we all bear the brunt of it. You see people's houses getting flooded, you see gutters getting choked with waste materials, and it's even going to the extent of affecting our lagoons, our water bodies. The other time we saw one story from the central region where they were complaining about the lagoon because people dispose of waste into the lagoon, and it's going to kill the fishes, and eventually it will affect our food production in the country. So we are crossing over to Wendy Lai, who is at the Pantang hospital, where there is a little problem with waste disposal there. So Wendy Lai will bring us up to speed about how waste is being managed, as well as how the people are reacting to the poor disposal of waste there. So Wendy, keep us up to date.
This afternoon, I'm currently at the Pantang Abokobi landfill site. This is a landfill site, very huge, and the stench here is awful. I will be speaking with some residents shortly to tell you about their very own experience. But this area, there are some other surrounding communities which include Elvis. No, that's a person's name. But some of the areas here, I do have the Pantang Hospital. There's a Pantang Hospital here, Parako Estates, Liberty Avenue, Anointed Area, East Pantang, EP Down, and New City, Abokobi, among others. And residents here are worried about the side effects of the landfill site here. If the camera could zoom in so you have a closer look at the landfill site here. That is a landfill site here. There are people working here. You can see the smoke there, the side effects of the smoke getting into them. The scavengers who also come here to pick and choose what they can get from the landfill site here. But I'll call these persons, I'll call the chairman of the Residents Association, Elvis Kwama. I'll call Mrs. Pakalote, who lives very close to the landfill site, and another resident, but he also works at the Pantang Hospital. Good afternoon, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Let me quickly start with Mrs. Pakalote, because you live very close to the landfill site. How has this inconvenienced you?
It's really terrible. The smoke, the stench, especially when it rains. You can't live around, and the flies, sometimes the mosquitoes, even without the flies in the evenings, the mosquitoes, you can't help it. You can't stay outside to enjoy the breeze, the natural breeze. You definitely have to stay inside. You can't leave your windows open. How can you live in a house with the windows always closed because of the stench? So it is really terrible. And people have been complaining, kids are having asthma attacks here and there. How can we live in a country like this when we have authorities who can take care of these issues? So we are pleading with you, the government, EPA, Minister for Health, everybody concerned, to please do something about this.
How long have you lived here?
Actually, I started building in 1995. I finished and came here in 2013, April. But at least since 95 that I've been coming here, there was nothing. It was recently, around 2004, that they started this thing. And all this started because they were winning sand here, and they made a big hole in the ground, and it was given to a Manier company to fill the hole. Eventually, it is ended up in this thing. We've been trying to let them see the problems we are facing, and it looks like nobody is listening to us.
But have you personally or any family member suffered any side effects from, aside what you've mentioned, any medical side effects personally?
Personally, no, because we came here only 2013. But I know a few people. In fact, the last time we had a press conference, a lady with a baby, barely 6 months old, has developed asthma just because of the smoke. Because she took us to her house, and when you enter the room, it's as if the rubbish is being burnt in her room. And this is really sad. People have boreholes dug because there's no water in the area. And when they came and tested the water, they said it's not good for drinking. So what do? They have no alternative than to take this water. What does it mean? Health problems. So what are we doing? I expect that at least the Minister for Health, EPA, should at least do something about this for us.
Now, I'll quickly move to Ines. You also work with the Pantang Hospital. What are some of the cases you usually see here? The hospital is very close to this landfill site. And how challenging has this been for you?
It has been a great challenge to us because most of the people around that we have nursed, we've noticed that they had respiratory tract infection, and it is as a result of this dump site. And the schools around too, as we visit, we did our own research, and then we realized that the dump site is causing a lot of damage. As Madam said, you can't harvest rainwater any longer. Children cannot play in their own homes. You have to be locked down. The smoke, the stench, and Ghana Health Service guest house is just here. We also have a training college. They can't sit in the classroom. Even when they go, they are praying that it's break or something to leave. And that's all these factors contribute to the failure in the school. And I think right now I want to speak about the people who are in charge, the residents around. Our chairman has more information, but I want to say that we have had dialogue over the years. From 2008, started writing to Ghana Health Service, Ministry of Health, EPA, all the authorities involved. And we have seen that dialoguing is no more yielding any results. So we have contingencies. We have reported this over the time. And this time around, we are going to be our own security, because we have seen that nobody is taking care of us. And our health is being sold for money. So if the authorities responsible to protect us are not going to protect us, we are taking measures. We have had demonstrations, we have had press conferences, we've petitioned, and they are all not yielding a result. We have other plans we are going to execute now.
I'm sure we will also be following that, and possibly it might not even get there. But you told me you've lived in this area for 14 good years.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you also recount some of the challenges you have because of this landfill site. But as the chairman of Residents Association in this very area, how has this affected productivity and even life in this area? Looking at houses, looking at the sale of businesses, how has this affected?
Everybody has been affected. Let me say, school kids are not spared. Students in nursing training college, can you imagine the irony? People who are being trained to preach health themselves are forced to have classes in very unsanitary conditions. They compete for the piece of the lecture halls with flies and stench and smoke. I mean, can you imagine that? Businesses have not been spared either. Hotels, around the area are having very low patronage because nobody want to come and rest in and hazardous environments such as this one. There's a hospital, Pantang Hospital. Patients are there. We take care of very vulnerable people. And then you and I can just drive elsewhere and cool off. But these patients are on admission, for Christ's sake. These are vulnerable people who have come for health care. And the environment in which they are being taken care of is not the best because of this dump site. Churches around it, they worship God in complete filth. If cleanliness to godliness is anything to go by. then the serious
Let me
irony.
just cut you there. Benjamin did take the wind out of your mouth by saying that you've sent petitions out, you've spoken to the stakeholders and the authorities involved. Hasn't it yielded any results at all?
Well, our concerns have not been addressed. We have not had replies to our letters as we've written to everybody. Everywhere, our letters are everywhere. We've not had a single response. The MC of the area, no response that, satisfies our, concerns. There's no light at the end of the tunnel that our concerns are being worked on. They continue to dump. And we are saying that if our authorities will not take care of us, we have contingency plans. We will take care of ourselves.
What will you do?
For now, it remains on our chest. We know.
I'm asking because...
Right, so that was my colleague Wendy Lai live from Pantang, speaking to some residents who are obviously not happy about the refuse dump site in the community. So are you also facing similar problems, or can you tell us how best to manage waste in the country?